Randy Zisk, you directed Mr. Monk's Last Case, which brought back the title detective almost 15 years after the series ended its run. Now, back when you directed the series finale, did you anticipate that you'd eventually get to revisit these characters in this way?
No, I don't think any of us knew that we would come back and do it, like you said, almost 15 years later.
Hmm. And how did you end up coming back on board for this film? Like, how did it come together?
Michael Sluchin, who was at Peacock, who runs Peacock, was on the original Monk when we were at USA, and he was with us the whole way. So he always liked the show and talked to Andy Breckman, who created the show, wrote the show, and they bought the movie. Andy wrote it, and he and David Hoberman and Tony Shalhoub and I produced it, and it came together. But it was really fun for us after 14 years to get the cast back together, the team back together, and it was a blast.
And were there any challenges in reassembling that team, in terms of scheduling or commitments, where everybody is, at this point in their lives and careers?
No, it came together pretty easily. Tony had just finished, Marvelous Miss Maisel, so he was free to shoot last summer when we did it, and Ted Levine, Jason Traylor, everyone was so excited to do it. It came together pretty well and pretty easily.
These days, the door is never fully closed when it comes to revisiting shows and characters. We've seen that a lot in terms of revivals and reunions, and renewals after many years. What do you think about those opportunities? Having directed so much TV in your career, to get a chance to kind of revisit these characters that you spent so much time with and loved.
Yeah, I mean, I think even though it's called Monk's Last Case, there's always the door open, like you said. I think we'd all really enjoy doing another one. We had such a good time. It really felt like we didn't skip a beat, which I know you hear those things a lot, but it really felt like when the first day of shooting, we did a scene in the airport where pretty much all the characters were back together, and it was when they met for the first time in the show. We chose to do that on the first day, and it really was like 14 years ago that when we were together shooting, the heart and the humor kind of came through in the same way the tone of it came through. So yeah, hopefully there'll be more down the road.
And tone is especially challenging. One thing that really struck me and impressed me about the film is that you're dealing with, a lot of humor, as always on the show. But you're also dealing with very serious subject matter, Monk's mental health and his contemplating suicide. Like, how challenging is it to kind of walk that line and find that right balance for the show and for the film?
That's a good question, because it was such a serious matter, such a serious subject, and a departure for what the show was for the 8 years that the show ran. But I think we wanted to make sure that we didn't just do episode 126, that we really did something that was different and that was unique to the series being a movie. So I thought Andy walked the line so well in the script, and we just we're careful. There's always that line with the subject matter of the show to begin with, that we want to play it real, and we always try to play our comedy real. I mean, obviously some of these things are a little bit bigger than life, but for the most part, keeping it honest and real. And like you said, the subject matter was something that was very serious, and we wanted to keep it that way and respect that. And there's Tony Shalhoub is just so special when he can play comedy, he can play drama, and does it so well. And really, he kind of did the tightrope and making sure that it stayed in that area, which was genuine and real. And I mean, working with him is just such a treasure.
And working with Tony Shalhoub, how did you work with him to find this character again after more than a decade away? Or was it kind of like riding a bike? He jumped right back into, Monk, right back into those shoes.
It's funny to say, because one of the lines in the show is, it's like riding a bike, and Hector Elizondo says, "Oh, good." He says, "No, it's hard." But no, this was like riding a bike. I mean, Tony, we certainly talked a lot over the years. He's a good friend, and we talked coming up to the show about the tone of it. But he just got back into it so quickly. And to me, it seemed effortless. To him, I don't, you know, tell you to ask him, but he makes it look effortless. And also he and Andy Breckman, just the way that they relate between the writer and actor is really special. And they just kind of get each other. So it makes the directing much easier.
And Andy Breckman, working with him again. In addition to Monk, you worked with him on the Netflix series The Good Cop. So you have a lot of experience working with him. What is that creative partnership like?
We've done 3 or 4 shows together, and it's really been wonderful. We both love comedy. I mean, Andy goes back Saturday Night Live and different shows that he's written and worked on. And there's just a mutual, we just seem to like always, we're always in sync. And we just I have so much respect for his writing and the way that he puts together his characters and his storylines. And we have fun on the set. We laugh on the set the whole time. I want him to be on the set as much as he can, just because we just, knock around ideas while we're doing it. And he and David Hoberman and Tony Shalhoub and I, the 4 of us have done, so many of these episodes and this movie that we're all really close. And even when we get in the editing room, I feel like anybody can jump in the editing room and make changes, and it works for all of us. We've really had a good relationship since the beginning.
In the episode, there's a really memorable shot, a really moving shot of Monk accompanied by the souls of the victims whose cases he solved over the years. How did that come together? It's such a climactic moment.
Oh, thanks. Well, I remember seeing a shot where I believe it was the Raiders of the Lost Ark, but there was like a grassy knoll, and with the camera's low and the people are behind it, you don't only see one person coming over. But then as the camera raises, you start to reveal, in this case, 150 people behind him who are following him. And I just always, that image, when I read it for the first time, that was the image that kind of came to mind, that you want to see him by himself. And then all of a sudden see there were 1 or 2 people behind him. Then it became 10 people and 20 people and grew to the whole. Every case he solved in the 8 years of the show. So that was kind of what was behind that setup and that shot.
And have you gotten a lot of reaction from fans of the show? How they've received this new mystery after kind of years away?
Yeah, they seem to really like it. I mean, like I said, it was a bit of a departure, so it was kind of scary going into it, because we hadn't done one dealing with this serious a subject matter before. But the response has been really good. People seem to they love the character. I mean, all the characters, but certainly Monk is a character that really kind of reaches a lot of people. And it's a show that we always wanted to do for everybody. We wanted to do a show that kids can watch and their parents and their grandparents. So we kind of felt like this hit all those, which is what we aim for.
And you mentioned being open to more Monk in the future, and of course this film leaves the door open for that. Since TV is so different nowadays, and you took a somewhat different approach to this film with this serious subject matter, how would you envision kind of a different side of Monk, or a kind of updated version of him going forward?
Well, that's the thing about Monk, is he's not a very updated character. He's one of the few characters that doesn't walk around with a cell phone or with high tech anything. I mean, he's kind of never really used any of that. So it's a bit timeless in a way, and most of his references go back to the 70s and 80s. So he's not really very. It's a character that we purposely haven't made very hip or trendy. So I think he would probably stay the same. I think his halcyon days were probably COVID, because he kind of felt like everybody was going through what he was going through. And I don't think as the times change, he will change very much. I think he'll always be who he is.
And the movie was nominated for a couple of Critics' Choice Awards. Tony Shalhoub was nominated for a SAG Award. How does it feel when a project you've worked on receives, recognition from media and industry, or especially a performance you've directed
Yeah, it's so nice to
recognized?
see that the audiences and the fans of the show have really gotten behind it. It's really rewarding, and it's great to know as the team, um, puts it all together and finishes the show, that it's received well. So it's an honor.
Well, I want to congratulate you on your work on the film, and on your work on Monk in the past, and fingers crossed your work on Monk in the future. And thank you so much for talking with me about it. It's been a
Thank you so
pleasure.
much, Dan. I really appreciate it. It's nice to be here.